Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Fast Track session at ATM, powered by Phocuswright. So the Fast Track sessions aim to deliver a series of mini sessions that we implement at multiple events throughout the year. New power distribution are the main theme of the Phocuswright conference this year, and are the issues confronting European travel, but also the rest of the world when it comes to travel, tourism, and hospitality. And they outline a roadmap for success in 2017 and beyond. Phocuswright Europe will take place in 3 weeks in Amsterdam. Today, I will give an introduction to this session. We will talk about mobile millennials and emerging markets, including obviously the UAE, and what's the next wave in global travel. Following this presentation, I will introduce you to our Middle East analyst, Christina Polo, who will take the stage and will moderate a panel for the following 45 minutes. Phocuswright, for the people in this room who still don't know us, is a research company. We deliver research in a lot of different ways and own our own events in 3 regions as today. The global event takes place in the US every year in November. This year in Miami, from the 6th to the 8th of November. Then we have Phocuswright Europe and Phocuswright Asia Pacific. The global travel market is now nearly at $1.3 trillion, a far cry from where it was just 5 years ago. But the story doesn't end there. Innovation, demographics, economic promise have caused record online travel gains. Major realignments are unfolding rapidly. For example, Airbnb and Uber, they're no longer alternative. Ryanair has got room, and legal rulings across the continents are taking away a bit of the big OTA's edge. And meanwhile, you still have tour operators and traditional travel agents still relevant and reliable and reinventing themselves to stay in the game. In less than 20 years, online travel has grown from zero to more than $500 billion in 2016. So where is this growth coming from? Which regions do you think are doing better than others? And what's the impact on emerging markets? The global travel industry has been rising at a steady pace. Also, there's been a blip in 2015, as you can see on this chart. Yes, the market actually declined amid economic turmoil and currency exchange headwinds. We expect to surpass 1.3 trillion in 2017. So keep in mind that with Phocuswright methodology, we include passenger air, hotel room revenue, car rental, tours, cruise, and rails. The online sector, as you can see here, including supplier websites and online travel agencies booked through desktop, laptop, and mobile web or app, is following a very different trajectory. It's growing 4 times faster than the industry as a whole, well into 2017 and beyond. When you look at online penetration, more than 40% of all travel is now booked online globally. We're talking here about leisure and unmanaged business travel. And while that's an amazing number, it still means that for more than 60%, the business is still booked offline. So the goal is not about getting everyone to book online. And naturally, there are also some customer preferences to book offline when it matters, whether through a travel agent, a front desk, or by phone. The change in the disruption, you would agree, is inevitable. And the faster that markets can adapt, the healthier they are. Now, looking at the top 3 regions, you can see that they represent now, as today in 2017, 87% of the market share. We're talking about North America, Western Europe, and Asia. Latin America, Middle East, and Eastern Europe represent 5% or less of the online space. But emerging markets are catching up. In terms of online penetration, Europe is in the lead, with nearly half of the travels booked online, followed by the US and Asia, who are somehow similar in size. And then lags the other regions, Latin America, Middle East, and Eastern Europe, a bit behind. But they are catching up as more and more travelers, as you know, embrace online bookings. So if you're looking for growth today, the next big wave, then you need to look no further than its emerging markets, China, India, Brazil, and the Middle East. So while developed markets make up 3/4 of the online travel revenue, as we saw on the previous slides, they're projected to grow at only 3%, as in the emerging markets, the total growth represents more than 8%. So those online emerging markets are actually growing much faster than the market and the developed market as a whole. So how do you pick basically a hot market today? You look at the online travel penetration by market. Historically, at Phocuswright, we've noticed and we've always pushed that once a market has reached the 35% penetration mark, then it gets saturated. So we've learned that after that, the market trends tend to slow down. In 2017, a number of additional markets, including Malaysia, UAE, India, Brazil, and China, are crossing this line of 35% in online travel penetration. They're led by emerging travel markets, and the shift to online continues. So who would you think is the fastest growing online travel market out of the UAE, India, Germany, and Mexico? Well, it's actually the UAE, following just China. So out of those markets, UAE is by far the number one. Then just beyond China, followed by India, Brazil, and Mexico. Now, when you look at growth, as I mentioned earlier, and when you look at online market growth, 4 markets stands out: China, UAE, India, and Brazil in 2017. What is interesting is the flatness of Russia that we have studied over the past year. So all in all, for the next big wave, when you watch the market and when you look at the market for the next 5 years, those are the markets that you really need to keep in mind and look when it comes to growth. And Russia. So the rise of digital natives. Let's talk about some of the drivers that have initiated that growth on those specific emerging markets. We've all heard that millennials have been playing a key role when it comes to social media and sharing economy, hotel technology, and redefining as well loyalty programs. But the millennials are also the drivers behind those emerging markets. For example, when you look at the share of leisure travelers, in most of those markets, you'll see that the biggest portion of travelers are actually under 34 years old. When you look at India, for example, 2 in 3 Indian holiday travelers are young adults. In another study that we show here, we also found out that 69% of those India holiday travelers are under 34 years old. So now looking at the smartphone adoption, for many of these travelers, you need to remember that their first digital interaction with a brand, and especially with a travel brand, has been with a smartphone and not with their laptop. A major contrast when you compare it with Europe or North America or some of the established markets in Asia. And finally, looking at mobile booking as a share of online travel, you can see that Asia surpasses already the US and in Europe in terms of online booking. So let me now transition to our Middle East analyst, Christina Polo, who will introduce her panelists and we'll start a discussion much more focused on the Middle East challenges and opportunities with travel distribution today. Christina?
Good morning, everybody. I would like to call and invite for the panel Paul from Movenpick, Amer from Hotels Combined, Paula from Expedia, musical chairs, and Jeff from Dubai Tourism College. Florence. We saw that Middle East is obviously growing fast on mobile also. And the first question I'd like to take is really to understand how in your area you are leveraging mobile to enhance the customer experience, actually. Who wants to take that one?
Sure. I think first of all, it's really important, Christina, to understand when we talk about mobile, are we talking about just the booking process? Are we talking about all of the incremental revenues that come through mobile? And I think it's different. It's different when you look at both sides of the picture. When you look at the adoption of the mobile device for booking, we still see in a lot of cases that the customer migrates back towards their favorite device, which might be their desktop or their laptop. But I think when you look further down the booking process, when you look further down the travel pattern, if you look, for example, towards your boarding pass, if you look towards the interaction of perhaps booking incremental revenue later in that booking process, then the revenues are very different. So when we look at both sides of the coin, when you look at actual physical booking, it's different than when you look at the incrementals and incidentals. And I'm not sure if that's what we see in the hotel space, but I think Paul can pick up on that.
Yeah, so I fully agree, by the way. I fully agree. If you look at China, so we saw China up there, and you think of WeChat, which has like 1 billion subscribers. Yeah, which has 1 billion subscribers. It's a complete ecosystem. You can live your life through it. You can pay through it. I think that's how I would see it sort of evolving. It's true within the hotel space that there's still a lot of work to be done. We launched our fully responsive website last year, but immediately when we did it, we saw a major jump in bookings. So, you know, but that's one step, and you need to continually evolve. Yeah.
Okay. I may take this too. You can hear me, right? Better? Yeah. Right, so at Expedia, or if I may refer now to Hotels.com, which is of course very dominant here in the Middle Eastern market, if we look globally on Hotels.com, 1 out of 3 bookings is made on mobile. It's a little bit more skewed, of course, here in the Middle East. And of course, our focus from a Hotels.com part is on the application, on the app that we're using. And we're continuously adding destination tools and vacation tools for people to have a better personalized experience. Hotels.com, we just recently added actually the concierge services as well on the app, which actually allows us to incorporate local services such as Uber, such as OpenTable, such as delivery, such as Groupon. So to even more personalize that experience, and actually for people as well to increase that, you know, in-stay spend as well. So we continue to work on improving that experience from a customer perspective as well.
Very interesting, fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, from Hotels Combined, you know, we're meta-search, so people are coming to our platform or mobile to search for hotel or to compare prices. So worldwide, we have seen like 60% of our traffic, search-wise, coming through mobile, while Middle East is leading the global for Hotels Combined. 75% of our search is coming on mobile.
75%?
75%. Wow. And about like 65% of the bookings coming from mobile.
Wow.
Of course, I mean, that's because we concentrate a lot on our media campaign on mobile. Therefore, we have an app store, an application on iOS in Arabic, and we have one in English and Android one. The difference is those who are coming to search for hotel, they need like an easy access, quick information, very concise information. So we don't want to keep the user a lot in our application, and we be careful, I mean, with our supplier, because when we are redirecting the users to the OTA to book, we need to make sure that OTA has the most user-friendly application or mobile site in order to convert the search to booking. Yeah.
Just one point, I think it's also interesting to see Google, who now, as they launch new products, they say mobile first. So they see how does it look on mobile, and then we'll worry about the rest. So I think that's kind of the way we need to think about it.
Yeah, 100%. In regards to moving forward, you shared a few of the innovations that you're individually doing with your companies. What do you see as innovation and trends moving forward, impacting the marketplace in general, not necessarily just in your specific company? What do you think will have really an impact on the travel market?
Voice search.
Voice search?
Yeah, when we talk about mobile, of course, mobile is on top. We're doing a lot of A/B testing on a weekly basis. We know, we need to understand the user behavior, user experience. But voice search is the trend now in the market, how people are searching through the Alexa or the Series. But I think the trend now is the voice search. Definitely other travel company, tech company are looking into the booking via voice or the transaction via voice or wallet. But nowadays, I think the topic is the voice search.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would fully agree with that. And of course, as Expedia, we are fully on board and working on it as we speak. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think we'll continue to see the new kind of disruptive models coming. I don't know if you've seen the latest one in the US, which is called Recharge, which is basically sells hotel rooms by the minute, which makes people snigger in a way. But then when you think about it and you think, okay, I've got an hour to spend before my flight, I've got a meeting, I'm in between meetings, I'm at ATM today, I've got a meeting now, and then maybe I want a space to work. You can see how these kind of things will evolve. So I think we'll definitely see more disruption coming our way.
Yeah, very similar, but the ability to be able to place booking channels or perhaps meta into user-generated content is very important. So when you see the amount of inspiration that people are sharing on their Instagram, for example, the ability to be able to add how they booked it into that inspiration is probably the next thing. So for example, if you're on a beautiful beach in Bali, if you're in Thailand somewhere and you take a snap and you share how you actually booked the process and being able to embed that into the device, then that's a huge step. At the moment, you're just sharing the sense of place, but you're not being able to share how you made that experience happen. And so your colleagues, your friends who are seeing your feed, they don't know how you did that, but they want to know. You want that experience and that inspiration to be clickable and bookable. So that's a huge piece that we think will come down the line.
Okay. The region obviously faces still, if we focus on Middle East, the region still faces obviously some issues. And what is the biggest challenge that you think the region is facing impacting travel?
I think the world is facing challenges. Who saw Brexit? Who saw Trump? Who saw the oil price? So I think one of the biggest challenges across, the world is the ability to forecast our budget. I mean, budgets, by the first quarter, they're normally knocked out. So I think the challenge is to make sure that whatever model you're working with is flexible enough to be able to go with the wind, be able to move resources around based on where the demand is coming from. For this area in specific, we so far, I mean, who knows, but we've had a very strong start, and Dubai has had a very strong start. I think the Jan-Feb stats are, the occupancies were at 88%, plus 2%. Okay, price, is under pressure, but where is it not? If I think of Movenpick, I think we finished the first quarter at 92.3% or something, which was plus 3%. So yes, price is definitely an issue, but there is plenty of demand, and I think Dubai has done a good job and continues to do a good job on the whole leisure marketing side.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that as well. I think it's a very interesting market, and for us at Expedia, it is still an emerging market, right? So there's still lots of opportunities. The online market is still very small, so there's lots of opportunity to grow. As well, Q1, very strong numbers. 2016 was a very strong year for us in this region. And what was interesting to see for us as well was the international demand was actually really driving that growth. Of course, you know, the domestic or intra-GCC travel is still top of volume, but the growth was really driven by the international demand coming in. And that's great for the market because an international traveler means longer advanced booking lead time.
Yes.
It means longer stays. It means they're willing to spend more. And if we look at our numbers for 2016, we saw that the international traveler books 5 times longer in advance than the domestic traveler. They spend here 3 days instead of 2 days at the domestic traveler, and they're willing to spend more money, right? So it's a very encouraging trend that we're seeing coming into the market. So good to see.
Do you see similar trends?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to repeat the same things. I agree with Paul and Paula, but I want to add one of the challenges that we're facing is from the technical side is the unknown of tomorrow.
The ongoing, sorry?
The unknown of tomorrow. I mean,
yes.
like Paul just mentioned Google. I mean, we might wake up tomorrow morning and you see Google has changed their algorithm. So a company like us who depends on performance and we spend a lot on betting on a PPC, if that algorithm change or the integration change, we need to do a lot of adaptation without any previous notice, you know. So 2016, we didn't know that the voice search is coming. January, February, it exists, so we need to catch up with that one. That's one of the main challenge. In addition to the other challenge of the political and the budgeting is really a big challenge for us, you know. I mean, we can't budget for the next quarter because we don't know what's going to happen. Is it going to be like intra-travel, then you have to expect less average value per average booking. We have to expect less number of nights. We have to expect special segment of hotels. I mean, but still, the challenges are on a daily basis, but we have to live with it. Yeah.
Never bored. Chef.
Christina, it's really important to focus on the great things that are happening as well. And Florence put up a very interesting slide which showed over the last 4 years a positive trajectory despite all of the geopolitical challenges that are out there. And when you look at decisions that have been made that affect this region, for example, Chinese visa on arrival, Russian visa on arrival, and what that does to the online space is very important. Because if you think that you were a Chinese traveller before looking to come to this region, and you had to pre-plan your trip and arrange your visa in advance. But now all of a sudden, overnight, you can decide to travel, which means you can use one of these platforms, then that's a game changer. So if you look at, for example, the increase of Russian travellers coming now, you also see a change of how they're booking, because they now have the ability to know that they get a visa on arrival. When you have that peace of mind that you get visa on arrival, you can turn to an online platform. Whereas before you had to go to a packaged platform or a tour operator. So these positive changes that the region is making to welcome travellers from throughout the world can also change the online space. And you have to tie these things both together.
Sure. With, we're mentioning China, Russia. In terms of online language strategy, how are you investing, looking into the future? If we see these nationalities and therefore native speakers coming into the market, there was a challenge of the Arabic that some do not have yet on online platforms. How do you address that?
Yeah, so I think the first part for us, you know, we have 5 languages today. We have spent put a lot of investment into Arabic last year. Up until then, I need to be honest and say it was a bit, you know, too translated as such. So we actually have resources in-house to focus and you know, transliterate or transcreate the content to make it really linked in, because you know this Middle East is a very important market for us. Thailand is becoming a very important market for us, and so Thai is another language we want to get moving on. Again, you saw on the chart, Thailand, in terms of penetration, is really growing. It's quite a domestic market. So I think the days when you could have just got away with English and a couple of others are well beyond. You have to be careful not to. It's a big investment, obviously, every time you put in a language. But you need to make sure you have the languages for your core source markets or your core markets.
If I may refer just to hotels.com as one
Sure.
of the brands, right? So we have now over 200 travel sites with hotels.com in 39 languages. And we've had the Arabic site since 2010.
Yes.
So and of course, we're gaining experience and optimizing it constantly. And at Expedia, we have a dedicated team that constantly looks at where are the new languages required. So it's an ongoing process, and we'll continue to do so.
She was afraid to say that we do have 40 languages, not 30 languages. Yeah, I mean, Hotels Combined was the first company to launch the Arabic app in the Middle East. We do get around 2,000 downloads every day from Arabic iOS. Arabic is very important for us, and the languages in general is one of our main USPs. We do have 40 languages. Since we're meta search, we need to make sure that the user experience or the booking path are very convenient for the users. So if a Chinese user is checking our meta search and he finds the price, we don't show him those suppliers that they don't support the Chinese language. We show him only the suppliers that support the language for him. Because in Asia, it's not appropriate to show him the price in one language, and then when he goes to book, he doesn't find that language. So we lose that customer. While in Middle East, from our experience for the past 10 years, we don't see a major problem to show suppliers that they don't support the Arabic language. We still show them the search results in Arabic, and we do mention that this supplier supports the Arabic and the other doesn't. But we don't see any declining, that we still see users started the search in Arabic and completed the booking in English.
Would you still encourage the hotels, the suppliers, basically to get the Arabic on their website?
Definitely. More suppliers have Arabic language, more variety and more various options we do have for our users. And that's why we tell the hotels if they would like to be featured directly on our website or have like direct booking, and if they don't have the Arabic or the Chinese or the Thai or other languages, we do support them immediately. Once they sign up, they get all these 40 languages for supporting their booking engine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Opening up the discussion on the future and the famous Expo 2020. What are your views on the impact of the Expo on the regional market and Dubai market? Everybody talks about that.
Yeah.
So, is it a myth? Is it reality? How do you see the impact?
Of course, it's a reality. Dubai, when we talked about occupancies already so far, so 88% overall for Dubai, 683 establishments, and you compare that to any other city, and you go, wow, there might be pressure on price or whatever, but relative to some markets that I have experience in, there's so much strength here, and I think the branding of Dubai and the whole there's always something coming, so it always comes out as being innovative and fresh and something happening will really help, and Expo 2020 is just a continuation of a journey for me.
I think it's quite amazing, right? We just had the Milan Expo, and if you see at the pre-work that's being done here in Dubai already for the Expo 2020, which is 3 years away, I mean, it's quite astonishing. So I think from an Expedia perspective, of course, it's very exciting because it's going to put more visibility on the region overall. Expecting 25 million visitors, of which 75% of that international. And of course, now we're preparing the supply of, making sure that we have the hotel supply on board, adding 15,000 hotel rooms every year, so that by 2020 we have over 150,000 hotel rooms, which is the same size as Las Vegas. I mean, let's face it, it's huge, but I think it's so well thought through. It's very clear that focus on it, and they want to make this expo very, very special and really stand out from the rest of it. So I think it's just going to put more positive focus on the region overall.
Okay.
When you pull the idea of the expo, and as Paul said, the demand that it can create, it's very important to keep in mind what they're trying to achieve. And you talk about, making the impossible happen, connecting the world, and that's a huge responsibility for all of us, because we have to make sure that the investment in our platforms, in the languages, is there as well to support that. So everybody in Dubai plays a huge role in making sure that the expo is a success. So when we go back to look at, for example, just language capability, much of the work that you see, it's not just about supporting the language on the booking process, but much of the work that happens behind the scenes in contact centers, in Twitter, on Instagram, Snapchat, and supporting all of those multiple languages. So we have a responsibility, all of us, to make sure that our platforms are ready to showcase the city, not just being reliant on Expo, because this is a real chance to make sure that we showcase what this part of the world can do. And we have to make sure that we're making those investments in our platforms, our processes, our contact centers to be able to welcome the world in 2020. It's a huge opportunity.
Of course, I mean, Expo is an exciting news for all of us. We're looking forward to this period. Our main concern is, I mean, with the increase of the supply that's coming up to the market, we hope that all hotels understand that the importance of maintaining the prices, attract more users to come. We've seen recent incidents in Australia, I think, during the surfing Olympics, where hotels increased their prices. I mean, crazy. I mean, we've seen hotels for $8,000 for 3 nights. I mean, still, there was a lot of supply in the market, but hotels are being really, I mean, I don't know, they increase their rate crazy there. So we hope, I mean, the more supply will come to the market, will maintain the prices, attract more users to come. 25 million people is not easy to accommodate in one city. So there will be huge opportunity for everyone there.
If we look beyond 2020, how do you see the market moving forward?
That's a challenge for the hotels. What they're going to do with their rooms.
You know, it's like the Maya calendar. The world doesn't stop on the 21st of December, 12 or whatever it was.
It's a great question, right? So it's important to remember that Expo 2020 is an event as part of a much larger strategy. And I don't think anyone's sitting here now and not looking at demographics that exist well outside of this country. And if you look east, you know, if you look at the demographics and the uptake of the propensity of the Chinese traveller, if you look at the growing middle class in India, if you look at the emerging markets out of Africa, which were nowhere on this slide, you know, we talked about Middle East, China, India, Russia, but we didn't talk about this enormous continent which sits to our east, right? Huge population that's emerging into middle class. I think that if we look at that youth population, the fact that they'll grow up with mobile, the connectivity of Dubai, once we have Dubai World Central up and running, I don't necessarily think we should be worried about that. You know, we are very well placed, probably better placed than anywhere else in our competitive set to be able to maximise on that emerging demographic. So it should be a positive story. The population is definitely there, and the product here in the city is pretty phenomenal.
Basically just a milestone from your point of view in the history of Dubai.
Yeah, I think it's a journey, and this is a key milestone in the journey. But it's a path. And coming back to your point about hotel prices or whatever, you know, overall, I think visitors into Dubai for Jan-Feb was up like 12% or something, and supply has been growing. So and it's almost like the two, for the moment at least, are neck and neck. Which also then, you know, has the point that it should help in terms of making sure there's discipline about pricing, because it's still very competitive, and that's why in Jan-Feb, for instance, you know, overall in the city you will have seen some pressure on ADR.
And I would concur with what Jeff said, right? It's the Expo is part of this big strategic plan, but I think if we look ahead, this region just only has to gain and only has the opportunity to grow. So we need to make sure the responsibility that Jeff pointed out as well, that we are ready for that, right? So that we continue to innovate our technology, that we continue to work on the new population that we will be serving to make sure that we can serve them well and continue to grow this region.
If we're talking about the period beyond Expo, I mean, as Jeff said, we do trust the leaders here. I mean, the city is amazing here. I mean, we were all afraid what's going to happen like for the last 3 quarters, but they made it. I mean, we've seen a huge number of visitors. Europeans are back to the city. The decision for the Russian to arrive, I mean, visa on arrival, it was a very smart decision. We've seen a huge shift from the Russian, from Europe to come to MENA. Though the prices were a bit high for them for their currencies, but they say like 14 days to wait for a visa, and then I can get it on arrival in Dubai. I pay more money, but I take decision and I come and enjoy. I think, and I'm sure they have a plan for 2021 and beyond. And from the experience, I mean, being here in this country for 20 years, I mean, we always see they're planning ahead of us.
Sure.
So I don't see any concern so far. Let's look for the Expo. Let's do our job here and look for the future and be positive.
So we obviously have still some homework to contribute. I like the idea of contributing to the success. That was pretty much my last questions. What I would be really glad, since we have a nice audience here, if some of you have some questions for us.
Is there any question? Yes.
I guess my question is for this gentleman. You mentioned embedding the booking information into social media posts. Are there any solutions already available on the market with which you could do this?
So there are organisations that are out there that are trying to do that. Yeah, and I think we've seen how quickly innovation can move. But the focus of marketing, I think, across the board is very much on how to embrace user-generated content, genuine content, that we are all creating every day. But what we all strive to do is to bring that booking process further forward and faster. So the minimal clicks as early in the process as possible. So while there's not something that we see today, we expect that to be in the market relatively quickly. And once it is, we have to figure out how to embed that into the hashtags and operate it and make it happen. But we expect that to come very early into the booking process.
Any other question? Yes.
Hi, this is specifically for Amir and Paula in regarding to the growth of voice search. I'd be interested to know if you can share any statistics in this particular market, because obviously the US and the UK have got more use with Echo and Siri and Alexa. With the purchase of Souk recently by Amazon, then I'm sure it's going to come along very quickly. I just wondered if you could share some statistics in this region for voice search and what trajectory and plans you're putting in place for the future.
We've been watching this for the last couple of months. I mean, our office in UK is very close to the statistics in UK because of Alexa and Amazon. And we start discovering this because Amazon is introducing this as an open platform, which every developer can develop. We have seen 2 startups in MENA last month who's doing the Arabic one. However, there's a big challenge in the Arabic language because of the different accent between the formal Arabic and the local Saudis and the other one. We have a target here in MENA. By June, July, we need to come up with the final decision whether we're gonna do it internally or just source it. We're very close watching these 2 startups who launched their platform last month on Facebook as a robot only, using the Alexa. But so far, I mean, it is a challenge for us in Arabic, and it's going to be a challenge for the others. But in English, yes, it is. It's very feasible for us, and it's going to be implemented very soon. But I think Expedia have more statistic than us on this.
I actually, at this current moment, I do not have the data available for you, but I can get it to you separately. So that's okay.
Any other question? Yes?
Yeah, just to expand on the previous question, I think what we're seeing from Amazon right now with voice search is that they're limiting the number of results that they're giving, and specifically to their own products. Is this a concern for you? Like if Amazon were to have its own travel offering, that they would be sending their users specifically to their own products?
I don't want to talk on behalf of Amazon, but Amazon wouldn't invent this to just like a free service for the others. So anyone say, I want to book a hotel, so with the XYZ, they will send it to him. Definitely there is a monetization plan for this. The same way they show you, when you search for a product, they show you the supplier or the stock that they have. They don't show you stock from a competitor. So it's still early stage, but I'm sure they do have a plan for monetization. They do have a plan how to make it beneficial for them and the supplier. Yeah.
Hello. My question is, what could Expo 2020, I'm representing Expo 2020 here, I work in the research department and communication and marketing. What could Expo 2020 provide to you so that, be able to work together? Because we know that this is going to be an opportunity and we cannot achieve that Expo without the help of the likes of you, because 70% is coming from abroad. So you are our partners in this, whether we like it or not. So what could be, kind of information that we can bring forward that you can build into your itinerary or your whatever plan that you have?
Expo, it's an international event, and we are very interested to promote this. Definitely, it's not us who's going to promote it. Dubai as a brand is promoting it. Everybody in the world is aware of Expo. How we can work together is we can support you where we have really strong presence. For example, in Europe, we have a good presence, where in APAC, we have a very strong presence. We can use our languages, our platform, our media campaign, our users there just to promote Expo and give them more information about the city, about the hotels, about the products, and what's available in that area.
I think, of course, we have close collaboration with the Dubai Expo at this current moment, but I think what it can do is can just expose Dubai as an overall destination as such, right? So, yes, of course, the event itself, the Expo itself, is the main focus, but it allows us to elaborate and really make it a full, almost UAE destination event and really put visibility on the region. I think that's the greatest opportunity that we have with this.
Yeah, I kind of echo that. It's a very exciting milestone coming up. I think the linkages between hospitality or accommodation and Expo 2020 kind of continuing to build that will be very strong. I like the idea, which is very true, we all have different source markets and we all have different strengths in different source markets. So the idea of being able to push being able to use us also to be able to push out the key messages is a great opportunity. We all send out a lot of collateral. We have a lot of web presence in different areas. So the idea of sort of making that link would be very good.
Yeah, I guess, Dubai has a clear goal to be the most recommended destination in the world. So making that platform, that intricate platform, impressive for the user, that arrival experience, whether they're landing on your site or any of the other sites, but they want to come to the destination, making that entire ecosystem impressive so that the customer recommends Dubai and has a fantastic experience has to be the key. So that means pooling all the partners together so that everyone understands how the platforms all speak to each other, so the customer is ultimately impressed with their visit to Dubai.
Hi, my name is Abhishek. I'm from RTB House. It's a technology company that specializes in retargeting. I have a question for Amir. I think you mentioned that how the algorithmic changes in Google can impact meta search and related businesses. I just had a question about since you're focusing also on PPC-based campaigns, do you feel that you would have more investment in Facebook, and at some point the power will be a bit balanced and move away from Google? So that's really my question.
I mean, we can't move away from any platform. We keep testing. I mean, we are a performance, the performance in our DNA. We test every day. Facebook is coming up with new ideas, new platform, new development on a daily basis. Last month, they have introduced a lot of new ways like the DAT or the others. So we can't say we're moving from to. We keep testing. We aim always for like a positive ROI. And we have our own system, internal system, that we watch all our campaign. And we need to make sure that we achieve a positive or ROI most of the time. Some of the platform that we use it for brand exposure rather than revenue. But yeah, I mean, we can't say that this platform, it doesn't work and the other works well. We keep always balance between all of them.
Okay. No further question? No.
Well, then it's time to thank you all for coming and joining us this morning, and to all the panelists to join the conversation. Thank you very much for being here with us this morning, and have a fantastic show. Thank you.